do I need to do it the other picture?
No, you look great.
Okay.
Bro, you look so good.
Correct. It's correct. Everybody's good. The only thing, like I said, John, if there was more light on your face so we could actually see you, that would be awesome too.
You look like you're about. You look like you're about.
So what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna flash my phone light to see if that works.
That's gonna run out of battery though. Wait a minute. Your phone light?
Yeah.
What are you using for a camera?
Well, I'm using my iPad.
Oh, Jesus Christ! And that phone battery's not going to die?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, it will, or yes, it won't.
No, I'm charged, man. I'm not Anthony. My phone's charged.
Well, coming from the guy who looked like he was doing one of those like ransom videos. He was in the fucking arcade, and he was like, "Send me $100 million if you want your child back."
That is true. Unfortunately, true. Yeah. Guilty as charged. Week off season on the Always Sunday Football Podcast. I am Dave. I'm joined as I am on every show by Anthony. How do you do?
I'll be doing all right.
Fancy shirt you got there, pal.
I've gotten a few likes, you know.
Seems that way. Johnny, how's it going, bro? You're looking shiny and bright.
Thank you. Fresh bait. You see the line?
Ooh.
Yeah, it is fresh. You are a little off center, though. You like slide a little bit to your left.
Slide to the left, right there. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Yes. It's like the worst party dance of all time. Slide to the left. Now don't move. And the DJ just shuts everything off. Welcome back. Welcome to the off season. Okay, guys, it is the 1st of March. It's a big day. That means that in 15 days, the league year will start. Okay, that means that signings can happen or whatever. We're heading up on like the legal tampering for free agents and all that other bullshit. And we're right now, the rookie combine is happening in Indianapolis. John, I bet you're really excited about that.
I am.
Very cool. I'm going to give you a chance.
We have some sad news too, unfortunately, today.
Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah. Well, you know what? You're going to take the driver's seat. As we mentioned earlier in the season, the rookies and the college scouting, you're our guy for that. So you're going to take that segment over. But let's just talk about the Super Bowl, fellas. We haven't spoken since the Super Bowl. How was the game? Did you guys enjoy it?
I did. It was a exciting game for sure. I was running a minute pool, so it kind of like intertwined with that a little bit.
You mean interfere? Interfere is the word.
Yeah, it's a lot of drugs. It reminded me why I didn't really want to run it every year, but for the game itself, exciting game, man. Exciting game. Score changing left and right, kept it great, and then. All the other shit took over, all the little hearsays and all the thing with the script and all this and all of that. State Farm Field. Oh, he's Patrick Mahomes. All that
John,
shit. But it's a great game.
John, what about you? How'd you feel about it?
Oh, I really enjoyed the Super Bowl. I would take one thing away from that. It absolutely sucked that it came down to Jalen Hurts not having an opportunity to come right back in the game. That's as a fan, I wanted to see Jalen Hurts get the ball and have an opportunity to score. Unfortunately, penalties. It was just.
No, I agree.
It was a horrible.
It was like that run. Who was that? McKinnon?
But it's a part of the game, and I am going to say one thing, man. It really sucks, man, that it comes down to inches, and I really think that Jalen Hurts fumble cost the Philadelphia Phillies. I know it's something like that happened and he came back and he went strong, but those little small mistakes lose you the biggest games in your career. And that's something that's that Jalen Hurts, he's really young in his career. We see Mahomes come back from it and, win and overcome that. And I think Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, if they could continue this core of an offense, and I really think Philly is going to be in the NFC Championship for years to come, just because they have that quarterback. still on that rookie contract. They're just a really stacked team going into next offseason. I see them simply winning the NFC East without a question, even in the offseason. But what I'm gonna say is that Patrick Mahomes. It says a lot more about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I would say. I'm we're all talking about Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes did something I have never seen before. He limped his way to a Super Bowl and played well enough to win. You can't take away from that. That kid got freaking guts, man. This kid is the QB1 of this generation, without a doubt.
Well, he does do State Farm commercials. Maybe he's a good actor, John. But I will say, actually, once you mentioned that, though, that I think it was McKinnon that did it. I guess, kudos to him for doing it like football play wise, but like not running in that touchdown, sliding right before. I would have loved for him to just run that in and then, let's see, can they make it down in time? Like
that strategy though. That strategy, he did the right thing.
But like as a football fan, you would have loved to see, because I think when he had that run, there would have been, easily over a minute. I think it was like a minute and a half, maybe. That would have been left for them to come down, and that's plenty.
Yeah, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but like they're well coached. I think that goes back to John's point with Andy Reid, is that he knew the situation. He did the right thing, because there's a lot of guys who would have sort of done the wrong thing, or just let their emotion take over, or the adrenaline take over, and be like, I'm about to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, that type of deal. So yeah, no, it was a great game. Unfortunately, there was some calls. There was the field issues where they were wondering about the turf and stuff. It was a great game that will forever be marred by those question marks, with regards to the officiating and the actual field conditions and stuff. But John, kind of mentioned both of these key points, is that Hurts played an incredible game. Mahomes did enough to win and to prove that he's one of the all-time greats. And of course, Andy Reid goes right along with that. They did enough to prove that they're all-time greats. But Hurts outplayed Mahomes in this game. Like, don't get it twisted. He played an incredible game. And aside from that fumble, of course, he did everything. He did enough to win. The issue, the thing that people and Kansas City was pointing out, put it on a t-shirt, 0 sacks. That defense is kind of where they lost the game when you get right down to it. What was the 38-35 final score? Now, you're not going to hold Patrick Mahomes down, but they made a point of saying that they didn't get a single sack, that record-setting defensive front. So, that game was fun. There was definitely some drawbacks to it, but Kansas City, there you go again, and they're on their way to a dynasty at this point. And I don't think it's really even a question of whether Mahomes is the best of the generation. I think it's really a question of whether Mahomes is one of the best or the best all time. So we'll see. There's hopefully plenty more Mahomes career left for us to enjoy.
Yeah, when we're in 20 years, we're gonna just be talking about it. Like for right now, Michael Jordan, LeBron. It's like Brady, Mahomes.
Look, in 20 years, there might not be a conversation. Mahomes could do so much that he could get 10 rings. You get 10 rings. He's young. He's real young, and he's that good. Look, people were talking about how he didn't have anybody to throw. He had Kelsey and nobody else to throw the ball to. He had a bum leg. He threw for 180 yards in the Super Bowl, and they won.
Yeah, Pacheco had a good back end of his season for sure too.
Yeah, he's going to be an interesting guy that we're going to be talking about once the draft starts to roll around, and like, where do you end up slotting him in among running backs? Anybody have any interesting things to say about the coaching changes? The Eagles lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. Lots of coaching changes throughout the league.
That's huge on their part. The team is still great, but as we've been saying this all season, how important coaching is, and I'm sure those two dudes had a nice big hand in it, right? So that changes the game up a little bit for sure.
I'm hearing that Steichen was definitely the guy who people around the league respected more and thought was going to be like the bigger deal. People were saying how in Indianapolis they got a win, and the Arizona head coach Jonathan Gannon, I believe, who was the defensive coordinator for Philly. He's not quite as sharp in that, that might have been more of like fool's gold where he wasn't as necessary. So it should be interesting to see how the offense develops. But as John mentioned, their roster is just so goddamn good and so goddamn young that they should be awesome for a long, long time. A guy who's interesting, or a situation that I found pretty interesting, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about it, is Greg Roman leaving as offensive coordinator in Baltimore. And he's known for that, smash mouth running style, but also the innovative running quarterback style that was developed with Kaepernick and perfected with Lamar Jackson, going to Todd Monken, who, if you don't know anything about Todd Monken, he's like pass the damn ball down the field, throw it long. He's very innovative. He's one of those guys who, early on, a couple of years ago, he had interviewed for the Jets head coaching job, and of course the Jets did not hire him at all. It turns out he's like a surly dude, so he's just like not super duper likable. So they were like, nah, fuck this guy. But his offenses are awesome. And he just won, like, I think, back-to-back national championships with Georgia. John, you could check me on that. He was the offensive coordinator for Georgia, so I don't know if they just went back-to-back or not. That part, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yes, they did. That's good.
And they were throwing the ball all over the yard, right? And so he's now the offensive coordinator for Baltimore, which I think is interesting for a couple of reasons. Because, like, Greg Roman brought Greg Roman in to maximize Lamar. He ended up winning an MVP. Now they're in contract disputes with Lamar, and they swap out their offensive coordinator with a guy who throws the damn ball all over the place, which is a gigantic hole in Lamar's game. John, any feedback on that one?
Yeah,
I mean, I know I'm catching you off guard. You don't really have any kind of like prepared information on this, but
I do because I've got a chance to watch Georgia and their offense.
That's why I'm wondering.
The pro style offense. What I am going to say is this: I do not think the way he's coached an offense in the college level fits what a Lamar does in the NFL. Hear me out on this real quick.
Well, it's because of the passing, right? It's not his strength.
Yeah, Lamar needs a run game. Straight up, Lamar needs a run game for him to develop as a passer. He hasn't got there yet. We've had years. This MVP season, he was able to throw the ball because his run game, I mean, he was run all over the place. And when they're more concerned about you running than throwing, that's when Lamar's the best. But Lamar also has taken some hits, and he needs a good offensive coordinator that understands that we need a strong O-line. We need him to run the foot, be a threat running, but also we need running backs to basically get that ground game coming. And for sure, if Lamar has time, if Lamar has that opportunity to develop as a passer, it has to be with a good run game. I just don't see it with this OC. And I know Georgia's had a very well-balanced offense, but yes, they throw the football. That's their number one thing. And I just don't see it being successful. I really don't. Like, obviously, college to pros is just so much different. And I'm also thinking back on Lamar back in his Louisville days because he was awesome there. But he ran with his feet. He didn't get a chance in Louisville to really, get developed as a passer.
Right.
I also think Greg Roman did a disservice to him on not developing that. Now, a lot has to do with injury, but what I'm saying is that having Lamar, develop in some way that he can pass enough where it's not he's forcing himself to use his feet a little bit more. And I think that Greg Roman did a disservice to him on not developing that passing game because you can only run and you're only youthful for so long.
It's true. Yeah, I will say that I think he was an offensive coordinator in the NFL, and he has, to his credit, Monken, that is, he has been able to tailor offenses to his talent. So I do think that he should be able to manufacture a solid running game with Lamar and whatever. But here's the way I see it. It's like this guy is so good at the passing game that they're just hoping that he can scheme receivers wide open so that Lamar can just like actually be effective as a passer, as opposed to trying to pick situations where Lamar has to fit balls into tight windows. Instead, just get guys wide open on the field where Lamar knows that he's going to be able to roll one way, look at this guy or that guy who should be wide open, and if there's nothing there, run it. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it's like where this guy's such a great schemer that they're just going to use Lamar as like somebody who's playing Madden with Michael Vick, who, you know, back in the day, like Madden 2005 or whatever it was, when it was like Mike Vick and just run all over the place and just like throw missiles like 70 yards down the field. So that I hope that's what it is. I'll be honest with you. I hope that's what it is.
I do. I'm just.
Well, they always had that receiver for it, right? Like they always made it a point to make sure that they had that.
Well, that's the big question, is that they don't have that now. They have Mark Andrews and they have solid tight ends, but they don't really have. They have Bateman, who had injury, but he's not that guy. He's not that downfield guy. So they'd have to draft or bring somebody in, or both, probably. Like similar to the Giants, where they just need to like totally overhaul their wide receiver room, right, John?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I'm going to put it this way: if I'm interested in seeing if they, number one, sign Lamar. If he does stay in Baltimore, I'm just going in a scenario with Baltimore. They need a wide receiver one, and they need talent. Like, I'm going to put it this way: his offense will not work without a number one receiver. Point, period.
No,
I don't think this guy is going over from Georgia, coming into the pros without a wide receiver one. And he's a passer. You just
no. I mean, and then or Lamar's going to get injured because he's going to be running the ball too much because they got nothing else going on, and that's the only thing that can work.
I'll say this: I like Todd Monken enough where I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to have faith in him until he proves to me that he doesn't get it. Because like I've wanted this, like I don't know if you remember, John, when we talked about it, when he was being talked about for the Jets coaching job, I was like, I kind of like this guy. You know, that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm rooting for him to be successful because his offenses have been pretty exciting. His offenses have been pretty exciting and pretty effective. Any other interesting coaching changes that we should really touch on? I mean, nothing that like jumped off the page. Go ahead.
We got a lot actually to cover. I have a big one that I'm going to talk about is, and we've talked about this before, Eric Bieniemy. Sorry, I'm just. Let me talk about this in 3 different ways. All right. So I hate it in terms of coaching. The guy has been like, and I'm going to put it this way. I hate it because he deserves to be an offensive coordinator. The guy has had a top 5 offense.
You need a head coach.
Yeah, a head coach. I really do think that he should have had a head coaching job of all the years that he's been having a top 5. Like literally he's never had a top, like even with Alex Smith, he's just had a very effective offense. Why does this guy not get a head coaching job?
The argument is that it's Andy Reid, not him. That's the argument, not whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to go with number 2 with Andy Reid. Number 1 is the reason why apparently they were putting reports out is that Andy Reid says that, like, oh, there are times in the game that I take over play calling and on certain important games, and that's a detrimental to your OC.
Yeah.
So kind of like shame on you for not getting this guy in a position where he is maximized and he looks like, you know, like you already have your platform. Give him the platform. So that way your coaching tree can grow. And I'm talking
interesting
about
take. I like this take out of you, John. I haven't heard anybody say this, to be completely honest with you. This is an interesting take. Shame on Andy Reid. Go. Love it.
Yeah. I'm just really big. I'm just humanistic about like developing the guys that are under you, like without the people underneath you, the assistant coaches, you know, like you wouldn't be where you're at. Like I think Eric Bieniemy, in terms of being in KC and being able to be an OC and be innovative and keep that offense the way it is, like you got to give kudos where kudos is good, where is due. Bieniemy is a good coach, like he's a good OC, like, and he's been in head coaching conversations, and it's time to kind of take like I understand that Andy Reid's trying to establish his, but he already has a legacy. Give another guy an opportunity to get that shine, so that way they could get that opportunity. And especially when we're talking about tying into my next point is the Rooney Rule. If you want to improve the Rooney Rule and your best assistant coach is black, maybe give him some light to get that opportunity to be a head coach. So I'm knocking at it in 3 different phases. I hate the move. I don't like it. I just don't.
I will say this in response really quickly. and then Anthony, you can just jump in there. I like the angle that I like the most that you took was that Andy Reid is to blame because, or at least should share some of the responsibility in him not getting a head coaching position, because in the last year or two, he could have very easily been calling plays on the sidelines or taking over play calling, but you don't have to say it out loud in the media. He could have just kept that in-house and be like, yeah, Bieniemy is dope. He's awesome. He's like, I love what he does with the offense, blah, 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 blah. And so that's a really good point out of you, John, where he could have just done this dude a favor and not said in the media, I call plays during the game. He could have just kept his mouth shut, and homeboy would have gotten, a much better deal out of the thing. Yeah, I don't know how the Rooney Rule is kind of bullshit. Nobody I don't see how that's even enforceable. It's just one of those things that they had to put on the books, and it really, really sucks. But I do like the move for Bieniemy because now he's out from underneath Andy Reid's shadow, and he does have a chance to prove himself by himself because Ron Rivera is the head coach of the Commanders, right?
Correct. Yes.
That motherfucker isn't doing anything. So, it's Bieniemy's now. He's the guy. He's going to get that full spotlight. So it's a shame. I think the biggest thing is that it's a shame that he had to move to a different team where Andy Reid couldn't just shut his mouth and give the guy his shine. That's a really interesting angle. Anthony, what do you got?
No, that is, John. Well, good. Hey,
yeah, I like that. I like it.
I do like that. It's like holding. Are you holding somebody back here, or are you holding them? Listen, maybe that's my hidden little gem here.
Right. It's like one of those things where it's like, he's got all this, resume, Andy Reid, that is, and he's like, yeah, this is my guy. He's Bieniemy. He's helping me every year. Da 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 da. He's my best dude. He's my best dude. But I do call the plays on the field. So I still do that. It's still me, bro. Like I'm still out there doing the thing. But no, Bieniemy's awesome. He's a great guy. But during the games, especially the fucking important games or I'm still doing. Don't worry about it. I still got. Don't holler at your boy. But my guy, Bieniemy, totally unnecessary. I feel you. Before we look at the future and rookies, let's take a look at the past a little bit. Why don't we do that? Let's take a walk back down memory lane, back to our very first episode. Yes, where we decided on our NFL predictions. Let's see how good we did with regards to picking our division winners and so on and so forth.
Can you start off with Anthony, please?
All right, let's start off with Anthony. Here we go. John, your wish is my command.
Thank you.
Anthony, you predicted in the AFC, that the Bills would win the AFC East. As a matter of fact, I'll spoil this. We all did, and we were all correct because the Bills are by far the best team in the AFC East. Okay. Then we have the AFC North, where you chose the Bengals, and you were correct. Then you had the AFC South, where you chose the Colts. We all chose the Colts. We were all very wrong about that. Just the wrongest. So wrong. And in the AFC West, Anthony loves him some Chargers. Unfortunately, that was not correct. But then in the NFC, Anthony had the Eagles winning the NFC East, which was correct. I'm sure it tasted very bitter in his mouth, but he was correct on that. He had the Vikings winning the NFC North, which he was correct on. The Saints in the NFC South, which was not correct. Very wrong. Actually, not even very wrong, because the NFC South was just a shit show, and it was won by one game. And in the West, this was very wrong, was the Arizona Cardinals. They were in last place. Hey, John. Oh, wait, wild card. I didn't do the wild cards. Anthony, your wild cards were Ravens, Broncos, Titans in the AFC. Okay, so that was Ravens were correct. The Broncos, good Lord. Okay.
Can't fault.
What's that?
Oh, hindsight, man.
Can't fault me now. I mean, because
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm not saying it was a bad pick out of you. I'm just saying, good Lord, the Broncos. Yeah. And then the Titans were close, but no cigar for the AFC South. But with regards to the wild card, they were not even close, just because of the way things shook out. In the NFC, you had Cowboys, Packers, Rams. Okay, the Cowboys did, in fact, get a wild card. The Packers did not, and the Rams did not. It was Seahawks and your Giants You're Giants. You did not have faith that the Giants would make the playoffs, nor did anybody else. I don't. That's fair. That's fair. Hey, John, before we go to and then Anthony, Bills versus Chargers, Vikings versus Eagles was your conference championships. So that was wrong, correct. And then you had Bills Vikings in the Super Bowl winning and the Bills winning. Feels weird now, doesn't it?
It does.
Feels weird. Okay. John, your turn. You correctly had Buffalo. Okay. You chose Baltimore as the AFC North winner. They got the wild card, as we mentioned. You had the Colts. Talked about that. We all had the Colts. And you did correctly predict the Chiefs winning the AFC West. The wild cards, Cincinnati, they won the division. Denver, there you go. And the Las Vegas, but you abbreviated it LAV, LAV. So that's kind of strange. Point that out. It's kind of weird that it's Las Vegas and he put the A in there. Lav, like not just LV. No. Anyway, wrong.
Wrong-o.
Okay. Do we talk about, I'm sorry, NFC. Okay, so NFC. You had the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East. So they were in the playoffs, though. So you at least got that close. Minnesota in the North, correct. South, New Orleans, also the Saints. The Saints let us down. Saints let us all down, I think. And West was San Francisco, correct. Nice job. Wild cards, the Rams, no. Tampa Bay got that one. They made the playoffs. They won the division by that shitty division. And Green Bay. Green Bay disappointed us all as well, I think. Your AFC Championship game was Buffalo versus the Ravens. And Minnesota, oh my gosh. This I'm just seeing for the first time. His NFC Championship game, Anthony. Vikings Saints.
And you wanted to see mine.
That's why he wanted yours to go first, because he's like, if maybe Dave will forget, Buffalo Saints was John's Super Bowl, winning the Bills were winning that one. Buffalo versus the Saints going to the bowl. Who was the Saints? Oh, Jameis Winston. He had Jameis Winston going to the Super Bowl. This maniac. Holy shit!
I bet you if you put money on that, that was a sweet payout.
Pain everywhere. Pain everywhere.
Well, Jameis got hurt. Jameis
Broke
was
my back. My back is broke.
Spinal.
It's spinal.
Well, I mean, Jameis got hurt.
He was playing great before he got
He was
hurt.
not playing great. No, he was not.
Kamara wasn't what he was. Though, like the receiver, Olave was like their only hope.
He threw for like 200 yards or 250 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first week. And then in the weeks 2 and 3 combined, he had 5 interceptions. And then he got hurt. So no. This was my predictions. I had Buffalo winning. Okay. I had the Ravens winning the North, not the Bengals, but I had Bengals as the wild card. I had the Colts winning, as we mentioned, the AFC South, and I had the Chargers winning the West with Anthony. We were incorrect, although they did make the playoffs. And I had Kansas City with the wild card. And then my third wild card team was Denver also. We were lied to. We were sold a bill of goods.
Oh my God.
Okay. How many times have you gone to Walmart, you bought something that ended up being a piece of shit? Well, that's what's just happened here. Buffalo Chargers was my AFC Championship game, which is a joke, and Buffalo winning the AFC Championship game. Philadelphia, correct. Green Bay, so wrong. The Saints, so wrong. And Arizona. I could not have been more wrong about the NFC divisions. Well, I could have if I got fully wrong, but I was invested. I had no choice, but I had to pick them. And then listen to my wild cards. Tampa Bay, Minnesota. Okay, they ended up making the playoffs. And the Detroit Lions. Now, that's a sad story that we didn't really get a chance to talk too much about, how they missed the playoffs. That was we got screwed. We got screwed. Well, we did talk about that. We did.
Yeah.
I talked at length about that.
NFL screwed us.
I was big mad, as the kids say, about that. Wow, I was pissed off. We did, and the NFL did fucking screw us. They said fuck Detroit and DC in the city. I had Green Bay, Philadelphia as my NFC Championship game, and Philly winning it and then I had Philly as my winner. Sad. That's sad.
Sad day.
I was close. I was so close. I lost it by a field goal. I was almost there. John, you know who else is almost there? The rookies. They're almost to the NFL draft. So let's talk about those rookies, brah. I'm going to give you sort of like the driver's seat here. Talk to us about some quarterbacks, some running backs, some receivers, and some tight ends that we should be keeping our eye on.
Well, I'm going to start off with the two quarterbacks, Bryce Young and Will Levis. I'm going to tell you something
What about Stroud? No Stroud?
Well,
you don't believe in Stroud? We get this off the table right now. You're not a big Stroud guy?
I think that Stroud is going to – I don't like that's what they're talking about and all the strategies and mock drafts. I'll talk about Stroud in my last piece.
Go ahead.
Let's talk like the two where all the experts are saying that Bryce Young's going to go number one without a doubt. That's what he is. One of the things I'm going to say about Bryce Young is he's tiny, man. He's freaking tiny. Like he's definitely can have a Kyler Murray kind of rookie year. So it would be interesting because everybody knows he's pretty much going to go to Houston. So I'm really seeing how the hell he's going to do over there because I just feel like he's going to go over there to die.
Too short.
Yeah. Will Levis, I think he's a project. To be honest with you, I don't think that I truly, truly believe he's a project. I do think wherever he gets drafted, he should be set out a year. But you know how the NFL is. They're going to throw these kids in the fire, and I think he's going to be in a situation where he's just simply just not going to succeed.
He's going to be in over his head.
Yeah, he's going to be well over his head. And I'm going to go number 3 with C.J. Strouder. I think out of the 3 quarterbacks, he is the most NFL ready. I'm going to go as far as that.
I think there's a lot of people out there who agree with you, John. I think
what I'm going to say about him, he's played in big games. He's played in a pro-style offense in Ohio State, and I honestly think that he can do just as good as Justin Fields.
So you're saying
to ride all the rides.
Yeah.
You're saying he goes third quarterback?
He's going to go well, that's what the experts are saying. If I were to pick out of the 3 quarterbacks, I would pick him actually before Bryce Young, in my opinion.
Me too, but I think he goes second.
He goes second, correct.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think Levis goes. I don't think Levis is like a top 3 guy. I don't think he's viewed. I mean, John, you would know better than me, but I don't think anybody's picking Levis over Stroud.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
Who do you think trades to the Bears to get that first pick?
That's a good question.
People are projecting the Colts. Here's my dream scenario. People, I don't know if I've heard anybody say this, but my dream scenario is the Bears trade 1 to the Cardinals for 3 and DeAndre Hopkins, and then they trade again down to 6 with the Colts. They get a haul in picks and DeAndre Hopkins, and still get to pick the defensive player they want at 6. That would be, in my opinion, awesome. Because they have the most cap space, so they could pay him, and they need a player like that who could just get open for Fields and has a catch radius of 1 billion miles. He's a catch radius of equator, so it's like,
No, I want the Giants.
That's my dream scenario. No, the Giants will. I don't want that to happen for him. No, that's not nice. Don't say stuff like that, John. Sorry. So those are your 3 quarterbacks. You rank them Stroud, Young, Levis.
Correct. I would.
I'm with you on that one, Anthony.
I agreed.
Running backs, John.
Oh, there's one, and it's Brian Robbins. Oh my God, what's his face's name? I'm gonna get his name correct. It's gonna be Brian. Is it Brian?
No, don't tell him, Anthony.
Brian.
Go ahead. We got to get him versus Danny Mac in a game, bro. We have to do that. The name game. Remember shit Mac says? We got to have these 2 guys play against each other.
Oh, man.
You can read it on this. John, I'll spell it for you. You still won't be able to say it. I'm serious. I love John and I love Danny Mac. They have the same problem. They can't pronounce players' names. So like they could be looking at his name.
Oh,
Like
I'm not looking
Danny
at
Mac would be like Byron Robinson. It would be no, Danny Mac would be like Byron Roberts. Like you wouldn't even get it. And it would just be like the same initials and everything else. I'd have to like interpret myself. Let's put it through like a filter. His name, this is just so funny. His name is Bijan Robinson. Like Bijan, like the dog.
Bijan Robinson.
Like
John-
Dijon mustard.
Honestly,
Like
I'm
Dijon
gonna put
or like
it this
Bijan
way. I'm
Frise,
really,
like
really
the dog.
excited
Yeah.
to have a guy like him coming out of the draft.
Oh,
Yeah,
me too, because it's a guy who you're going to have to talk about a lot, and you can't say his name at all. So this is
And I
going to be a
can't say his name.
blast. It's going to be a blast.
To,
It's
like,
going to be
save
so
my
much
life.
fun.
No, John's gonna just come up with some other name.
We have to make a list of all the things he calls him instead of Bijan.
that's
You know, play it back from him at the end of the year. Because
Hold on one
and yo,
second.
we
What
are
the
doing
fuck?
a Danny Mac versus John name
Can you hear me?
the name game. You pulled an Anthony. You're frozen. We hear you. Yeah, we hear you. You're just frozen. You pulled an
It's
Anthony.
finally not me.
Yeah, this is a first. Speaking of firsts, but yeah, Bijan is supposed to be a freak of nature. He's like the best prospect since Saquon. He's a complete freak. He's right now. Okay, so I'll tell you this. Just like we're gonna get into a little bit of draft and best ball stuff in a bit, but he's right now the RB4 on Underdog. Bijan is the RB4 in fantasy football right now. For freaks who are drafting, which is like people who have major problems like myself, but he's the RB4 in fantasy football. And he's a rookie we don't know his team yet. That's how good this guy is. He's John, are you still there? I think we just completely lost John.
His phone might have died, right? Wasn't he?
Yo, Anthony, this is what it's like, bro, on the other side.
That's weird.
Right? Isn't it strange?
I'm just making sure I'm alive. I'm still moving.
I'm making sure I'm still alive because this is there he is. Like I knew that was gonna happen.
Another one. Oh, give it to him 2 times.
It's the same
Why is
face.
so much-
Oh, this one's moving. Okay, that was freaky. It's the same face.
I thought more Johns were just gonna pop up on this screen.
It was like Agent Smith.
We're gonna be like,
My bad.
what was
I
that?
had a,
Oh my
like
God.
a
John pops on, Mr. Anderson.
It
Right.
was gonna be
Even
Brady Bunch scene of John. Brady Bunches just all.
Oh my god, he was in the same exact position. Oh my god, John, talk about Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, so Bijan Robinson, I'm gonna put it this way. I really hope if there's one team I really want him to go to.
Do it.
And Anthony's gonna absolutely hate me, but I would love for that guy, for the Cowboys to move on from Zeke and
Pollard.
Pollard's a free agent.
and them draft him. He would be awesome in Dallas. He would be awesome in Dallas.
He'd be awesome in Philly.
I mean, I guess he would. Yeah, he'd be awesome. And Philly's offensive line is awesome. But yeah, Dallas would be. No, I disagree. I don't want him to go to Dallas, and here's why. Mike McCarthy, and you know what else? Brian Schottenheimer. That offense is going to stink next year. It's going to be so bad. And those idiots will fucking hurt him or ruin him or some dumb shit. For Anthony, I think you're frozen right now.
Yeah, baby, we expected it.
Now we're back. See, this is normal. Now we're back to normal. It's like, no, what it is on my screen, you're in the position John was in, not the physical position, but the square. Your square moved over into the problematic square. So now you're the guy who has the problem. You know, like you slid over there, and it just must be that's the cursed square. You're in the cursed square.
It happens.
Sorry
Okay.
about that. But yeah, no, I hope he doesn't go to the Cowboys because that offense is going to be terrible. That franchise is a joke. I want him to go someplace where he's going to be fantasy relevant and awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you heard or if you were disconnected at that time, but he's essentially the best prospect since Saquon. He's a freak of nature, and he's the RB4 right now in best ball drafts. I don't know if you heard that. He's on Underdog. He's being drafted as the RB4 in fantasy football right now, and he's not even on a team. He hasn't even been drafted. We don't know where he's going to play, and dudes are drafting him as the RB4. Okay, moving on to receivers. Who are we looking at? Because I know the receiver crop isn't as great this year, right?
No, honestly.
But Anthony, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, listen to this. You're gonna have another fun one coming up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to the receiver thing. I haven't done as much homework in my.
You do say it, John. Say his name.
No, I honestly I have not done enough homework in terms of wide receivers.
Who's the guy that they think is the best wide receiver?
Oh, well, that's tough. See, that's actually not a fair question because I think that's the big problem, and I'll jump in on this one.
It starts with a Q.
Sorry?
Starts with a Q.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You have a guy in mind because I was just saying I thought that the problem with this receiver class is that there was no clear cut best guy.
There isn't. Marvin Harris Jr.'s son is coming out.
I don't think that's true. I think he's got one more year.
Oh, he's got one more year. I thought he was eligible for this draft.
Again, you're the draft guy, not me. But I thought that the last time I talked to Danny Mackey
about the wide receiver, I just wanted to have two quick takes about running back and quarterbacks because that's what the are right now. This draft is actually very defensive heavy, very talented defense. So I don't want to get to the boring defensive stuff, but it's really, really sad to see a kid like Jalen Carter absolutely, if the news is true, it's not looking good for this kid. And he hasn't even, what unfortunate, it just sucks,
Yeah, Anthony, are you aware of what John's referring to?
No.
So the presumptive so we know that quarterbacks are going 1-2, but let's just say, for example, the Bears kept the pick and didn't draft a quarterback. The guy who everybody presumes is the first overall pick in the draft is a defensive tackle, and he was out racing basically. The police report indicates that there had been racing between his car and another car with another teammate in it. And the teammate's car crashed and the teammate died. And then he is alleged to have left the scene of the alleged race, so therefore he's, some sort of, there's just charges against him and so on and so forth. It's a big deal. And unfortunately, as John's, mentioning, it's just it sucks that some shit like this happens. Seems like it happens every year. There's one guy who's just entire life gets fucking ruined in the lead up to the NFL draft, or the NBA draft or the whatever. There's just one guy who's he's got it all in front of him, and then all of a sudden he's doing something fucking stupid. Literally, the police report says that it all took place around 2:30 in the morning. The guy who died had a blood alcohol level of 0.19 or some ridiculous number. It was 0.16, something preposterous. It was some, obviously these are big football players, but still, you have to, in order for a guy that big to get that, have his BAC be that fucking high, it's preposterous. And so it's a tragedy. It's unfortunate, certainly for the guy who's dead. But this guy, but now let's also be honest about it. This fucking guy's still getting drafted. He's still getting drafted. The NFL is a cold business, and they draft criminals. They pay criminals routinely. So this guy's draft stock. All he did was cost himself millions and millions of dollars. He's still getting drafted, but instead of being drafted in the first pick or first couple of picks, he'll be drafted in the third round or something, or this maybe whatever, third, fourth round, and he'll do whatever kind of fucking community service he has to do, and that'll be that. And then he'll just be awesome on the fucking the Eagles defense, who's already great, will pick him, some ridiculous thing like that. But it sucks. It definitely sucks. Every year you can, there's one guy who's smoking a fucking bong out of a gas mask, or it's, Joe Mixon punches his girlfriend, or this one or that one. It's just like Mixon would have been the first running back drafted his year, but he punched his girlfriend or some stupid fucking shit like that. And or is he the guy who got in a fight on the field? Something dumb where he just did this dumb thing that a kid does, punch somebody, and all of a sudden he's a third round pick or fourth round pick, But whatever the case may be. Definitely sucks. Thanks for bringing it up, John. You really bummed us out. Dick. So check this out. What I think might be fun. Have you guys ever done now, Anthony? You've done best ball drafts, right? On Underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John, are you familiar with best ball?
Yes.
Have you ever done a best ball draft?
No, I've never.
So what we're going to try to do, I think, then maybe the next time or coming up soon, maybe post rookie combine, we'll do a show where we kind of recap because like guys set speed records and this, that, and the other thing. So we'll talk about anybody who like set any kind of records. We'll talk about the notable rookies. Give John some more time to learn Jackson Smith and Jigba's name. And Anthony, tell us the Q guy you were talking about.
Oh, Quentin Johnson.
Oh, that's not tough at all. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be a mess for John, just like Bijan Robinson is. It's going to be great. But we'll do like a post combine where we talk about like anything notable from the combine, and we will do a best ball draft.
Oh my
we'll do
God.
it together.
Oh
It'll
my
be fun. I'll figure out a way where we can watch, share the screen at the same time. We'll go through it and we'll draft some teams. And then the other thing I thought might be fun. Do you think you guys, between the three of us, do you guys want to manage a dynasty team?
Let's do it.
Anthony?
I'm in there.
Still biting his lip.
I'm thinking about it.
He's thinking. He's like, I don't know. I don't want to seem too eager.
Well, all I'm gonna say is we should get a list of some guys in the coming draft that have those names for John. And what you do is you have how they do their face comes up and they say their name and what college they're from. Like you pull their face up and then their mouth moves, but John says the fucking words. Oh my God.
That could be we could get ourselves into a lot of trouble doing that. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Because I'm not going to show someone else's face and then let John say a word that's not a word or that's too close to a different word. And all of a sudden we got ourselves a lawsuit on our hands because John invented a racism. Like John just invented a new racist term that we didn't even know was racist until it hit fucking YouTube. So no, we're not doing that. but what we can do, like I think, Anthony, what we should do is we should have John play against Danny Mac. And yes, we can show pictures of some notable players and see if they can name them. Sure. But I'm not moving anybody's lips on anybody else's picture. No, not after we listen to John try and say Bijan. Fellas, it's been great catching up. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the scouting combine. John, I hope you get good feelings in your jellies as you're watching the combine numbers roll in. And I will see you guys next episode where it's always Sunday.